the economy might not be President Obama's fault.
No?
Not exclusively. Not exclusively. It may be George W. Bush's fault. It may be.
I mean, it's not exclusively the president's fault.
It's not good out there. It's really bad. And after 5 years, you go, when is President Obama going to take some blame and responsibility? And he should, but it's not all his fault. It's the people who blame George W. Bush. I think they get some of that right there, too. Although, if you're going to blame Bush, you really have to throw Clinton in the mix then, too, don't you?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean,
Because, I mean, George W. Bush, it isn't all his fault. I mean, he had 9/11 happen in a tank, Dan. What we were doing in the 90s, building that bubble that popped, the bubble popped. I mean, you were building the bubble, so it were good, seemed like good days under Clinton, but a lot of that was smoke and mirrors. So, okay. It's not all Obama's fault. Some of that blame goes to George W. Bush.
of course.
But can you really blame him? So it's Clinton, right? It is Clinton. We know it's Clinton because they built the bubble and it was inflated unnecessarily and they were being risky and whatever. So the buck stops with Clinton. Is that right?
Well, it doesn't really stop with Clinton.
What do you mean?
Well, you can look back, to the previous administration with George H.W. Bush.
Well, let me think what was going on there. You got me, Skip.
I'm just saying. Like you said,
You got
truth
me.
lives here.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Think about it. Yeah, that's Skip, you got me. It's got to stop at. Wait a minute here. I was going to say stop at that.
You could also take a look at Ronnie.
Ronnie really drove up that national debt. He really drove that up. And, we know part of the reason he did it is because he was trying to outspend Russia, and you had a whole Cold War, so there were some extenuating circumstances.
Yeah.
But he did overspend like crazy.
Oh, yeah, clearly.
Crazy overspending. And we did have a couple of down economic times. I think he did a lot more, right stuff. He cut some of the tax rates and that, but
still, at least a little.
He's at least culpable. Yeah. Wait a minute. I'm not going to have you blaming Ronnie too much here, though. Wait a minute. I lived through the 70s, Skip. You weren't there.
I'm living from the history books.
Yes, I was there. It goes back to Carter.
Okay.
It goes back to Carter.
A lot of bad things. When you take a look
Horrible
at bad
Carter.
presidents, Carter is one of those.
Oh, my God. The home interest rates into not only double digits, but double digits twice over, Skip. There were people getting home mortgages for 23%. My folks got 17%. We're crapping in the high weeds. They were like, woohoo! Wow, we are doing great here. 17%. And then all of the Middle East crap and the oil and the energy wars, and he grows the government like crazy. Jimmy Carter. We're putting it all on Jimmy Carter now. We can blame the bad economy. It goes all the way back to the 70s and the Carter administration. That is it.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that. Comfortable.
You're comfortable with this. We're all in agreement now. It goes back to
with blaming Jimmy Carter. Yes.
Wait a moment.
What do you?
You weren't that good under Ford either. Now that I think about it, and likely some of the stuff that happened on his watch, started under Ford. And wait a minute. The gold standard.
Oh, I totally
Nixon and the gold standard.
You're right. If you want to take a look at one thing that really started, setting us off to a precipitous edge.
The gold standard. And Nixon grew the government in a huge way.
You're right.
Oh, my God. New agencies. He started the EPA, for Pete's sake.
He was surveilling before it was cool.
That dirtbag Nixon. It goes back to him. I'm putting this on Nixon now. Richard Milhous Nixon is to blame. We can finally put the blame squarely on Richard Milhous. How great was the Great Society? That scumbag Johnson.
Classic LBJ.
Classic Lyndon. The Great Society. Wow. What a lot of horrible crap. And Vietnam and my LBJ. Yeah, Nixon was bad with the gold standard and that, but really that stuff started under LBJ. You got to go LBJ with that stuff. Although, it occurs to me, some of that stuff started under Kennedy, now that I think about it.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay, then you know what? Let's put it back to JFK then. I mean,
But I mean, you got to understand, he's following Eisenhower too, and Eisenhower, the interstate the interstate highway system, which is a really good thing, and led to a big boom.
cost us a lot of money.
And there was a lot of regulation that came with it.
That's
So
a
it
good
wasn't
point,
just
too.
that the boom there came with the regulation, and he also benefited from the post-World War II boom. But he also rebuilt Europe and stuff. A lot of money went out with the Marshall Plan. Not that it wasn't right, but I mean, I would say he was one of the better ones. But you know what? You probably can't blame him, because I still think Eisenhower is one of the better presidents when it comes to a lot of that stuff. You know what happened right before him. What happened? Truman and FDR. Truman and FDR. They got a whole World War II boom with the economy, but by FDR's second administration, his second, not his third or fourth, by his second, 8 full years, unemployment, huge. Unemployment easily into the double digits. I think it even went back up to, because when he first came in, he did a bunch of stuff and it dropped down a little bit, but it was still back up over 20%, I think, most of the time, even after 8 years. So, or into his second administration anyway. Let's see, he's in 32. We get in 41. Yeah, so FDR. I mean, Truman followed what he did too, and some of the, but I think you go to FDR. I think that's what it is. Yep, the New Deal. Yep,
of course.
It's the New Deal. It's clearly so. I don't think you can blame. They're right. You can't blame President Obama.
no.
You go Bush, and then you go. It's clearly FDR and the New Deal. I mean, what's that? I'm sorry. Herbert Hoover. Let me think about that a second here. Yeah, because FDR did even more of what Hoover did. Hoover did a lot of bad, but FDR said, let's take that bad, tell everybody it was bad, and do more of the bad, more of the same stuff, just more of the same stuff. Very much like President Obama said, look at all that bad Bush is doing. Let's do more of that bad.
Continue it on. Keep it going. Keep it going. Okay, well then, all right, Hoover then goes back. We can blame the economic problems and
No, because then you keep going back and you go Harding and Coolidge, and although how Coolidge did a lot of good things turn around that recession, the recession he inherited from people like Wilson, and then you go Wilson and the Taft and the Roosevelt and McKinley. You keep going.
Uh-huh.
Okay, look, can you give me 1 second to think all this all the way back through and think these administrations?
No, I know. I mean, we're thinking a long time back and lots of intricate world policies.
Because Cleveland had some trouble, his 2 administrations, and Chester A. Arthur, although he got rid of the spoils system and that cleaned some stuff up, that was, hang on, let me keep going back here. Garfield and all the way back in Andrew Johnson, and then Lincoln, which... Okay, I've got it.
What do you,
That dirtbag, Martin Van Buren. This all goes back to Martin Van Buren and the Panic of 1937. Okay. Yes, let me think it through. What was going on in the Panic of 1837? Okay. Panic of 1837. How did that start? It was a major recession that lasted 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
How did it start? You had risky investments, speculative lending practices, and then there was a real estate bubble, especially out west, that popped. Lending then dried up. What happened with us just a couple years ago? Speculative lending, a real estate bubble popped, lending dried up, over government action. Banks started collapsing. Businesses went under. Unemployment skyrocketed. In some areas, it was up to like 25%. People started losing confidence, so they weren't investing the same way. They got depressed. And what followed all of that? 7 years of well, first of all, it was deflation, and then inflation. It was horrible. They started calling him Martin Van Ruin.
Really?
Martin Van Buren was known by some as Martin Van Ruin because the economy was it was Martin Van Buren's his problem. It's all his fault. This goes all the way back to number 8, Martin Van Buren. Finally, we can hear an end of the matter. If we just go back pre-Martin Van Buren, everything will be fine. We're set. So let's just blame Martin Van Buren and be done with this. And let's work together to fix the future.
Wait a second, though. What about Andrew Jackson?
Andrew, what do you?
You talking about like the Panic of '37?
Yes, Martin Van Buren got elected or took office in March of '37, and then all this stuff starts falling apart in May.
All this stuff, the Panic of '37. Andrew Jackson was still president for part of '37. That things led up to the Panic of '37 with the.
He took office March 4th of 1837. And then the first banks started having trouble in May. He was on his watch for 2 months.
The banks were having problems, though, because of the abolition of the Bank of the United States with Andrew Jackson and big fear about a centralized banking. And that really is going to have an impact on things. You can't put it all on Martin Van Ruin. Buren. Clearly, Andrew Jackson has to hold some of the blame for this.
Wow. Thinking about this, and then I think about John Quincy Adams and his little trouble, too, and others. It's almost like the economy has natural ups and downs.
What do you?
It's almost like the economy goes through natural ebbs and flows, and they can do things to help it or hurt it. And it's almost like the best thing to do is kind of let the economy run free. The markets just let them freely do their thing and just kind of stay back and not do anything.
You mean not? Enact a bunch of legislation and rules.
That's what I'm thinking. If this has been ups and downs as president after president, and they all try these things, and hey, did right here and bad there, and it's either that or we blame it on Martin Van Buren. I'm okay with either one. I think we decide at this point as a nation, either we let the markets run and say, folks, there's going to be ups and downs. So when you have an up time, put some cash away, put it in your mattress until you have the downtime so you can take care of yourself. Either we recognize those natural ups and downs, the natural ebbs and flows, and say, you're responsible for you and your family. Put some money away because, hey, everything's booming right now, right? Bad days are going to come. Remember that dream code of Joseph's, right? Bad days are ahead, so while it's good, let's put some cash away. The lesson there, we start telling people that. We try to help our neighbors as individuals during down times. We either do that and recognize the natural flow of free markets and let them go, or we blame that dirtbag Martin Van Ruin.